everybody, welcome to my on-demand channel. I'm Chanel and it's really lovely to have you here with me. Firstly, so grateful that you've chosen to come and practice with me, and I'm really excited to take you on this 21-day yoga challenge to hopefully move better and feel better by the end of the 21 days. I want to get straight into it because I'm aware that you've probably chosen on demand because you're probably a busy person and you're trying to fit these sessions in around your busy schedule. So we're going to get cracking. Before we start, if there's any injuries that you may have that you're working with, please do just that. Work with them, not against them. If something doesn't feel right in our practice, we don't do it. We surrender, we soften out, and we really listen to the body. Sometimes the mind will want to do things that maybe the body says no, and we need to learn to respect that and practice with that in mind. So just work mindfully with any injuries. And today's session, I think we should be okay because I'm going to go for a floor-based practice which is predominantly focused around the breath. The reason that we're starting with the breath today is because for those of you who maybe haven't practiced yoga before, your breath is an absolutely fundamental part of our practice and something that I really believe is really important. Yes, the moves are lovely, but not if we don't have that connection to the breath, and that is what we are going to do today. So, without further ado, if you have any props handy, you might have seen that you could do with a brick, a block, or a blanket. Anything really that's just going to elevate your hips up a little bit higher off the ground. Now, not everybody is going to need one of these, and I'll show you whether you do or whether you don't. I need one at least. I used to start with 3 of these, so just an indication as to where you might be, and you will definitely start to see better range of movement over time. So, I would love you to find a comfortable seated position. I'm going to start sideways just to show you some alignment, and then I'll turn it back around to you. So when you come into your seated position, usually it's cross-legged, but we can modify and adjust. If you see, I can sit on the floor, but if you look at my lower back now, maybe my shoulders a little bit hunched over, and I'm actually feeling a little bit of tension around my inner thighs. So that tension there, or any aching in the lower back or discomfort, is just maybe an indication that you might want to elevate your hips up a little bit higher, which is what your blanket or your brick or your prop is going to do for you now. So just to show you the difference, as I elevate my hips now, my spine is a lot taller, my shoulders are a lot more relaxed, and I've lost all of that tension now and my inner thighs. My knees are descending down away from my hips. A lot of the time it's not uncommon if we sit like this cross-legged, and that just means we need a few more blocks for a little while. Over time we can lose the blocks as we start to lose that tension and move into better ranges of movement. So I'm going to give you a few moments to settle, to adjust, to fidget, to wriggle, and to find your position that works for you. The most important parts are that your spine is nice and tall, that your shoulders are fairly relaxed, and that there's no discomfort that's pulling you away from focusing on your breath. Once you've got comfortable, so if you've practiced yoga before, you'll know a lot of this stuff, but it's a nice little recap just to reaffirm those foundations of our practice. And if you haven't, then welcome. So in yoga, we usually, unless we're doing a particular style of breath work, which we will do over the next few days as well, we usually only breathe in and out through the nose. Nasal breathing is the best way that we can choose to breathe. There is no sport or anything in particular where you're better off mouth breathing. When we breathe through the nose, it is the only system within the body that filters the breath that goes into our lungs. When we're breathing through the mouth, it doesn't have that same filter, so anything we breathe in goes straight down into the body, whereas our nasal passages, all those little lovely hairs and things, do a job, and they filter that breath, and it also helps to warm the breath before it enters the lungs. Your lungs can process breath, warm, cold, whatever, but it does function better if it's inhaling with a slightly warmer breath. And so that is just one of the reasons that we choose to breathe in and out through the nose. The other main reason is it's very calming for the nervous system, which a lot of the time in yoga we're trying to do. And if we can do that from the way that we breathe, then that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to teach you now how to breathe properly. And you might think, I've been breathing my whole life just fine. But now I just would like you to continue to breathe the way that you have been for the next few minutes. Place one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. If you feel comfortable to, we're going to take the gaze inwards, so close the eyes, or just drop the gaze down if you feel a little bit awkward closing your eyes. And we're going to do absolutely nothing for about 30 seconds. Now I would like you to pay attention to the way that you're breathing. Notice your inhalation. Notice your exhalation. And just observe the way that you are breathing at this moment. Does the belly move outwards as you breathe in? Does it move inwards? Does it not move at all? Just spending the next few moments noticing your breath, its pace, its ebb and flow. Anything that you might notice about the breath, you are going to observe here. Now you're becoming a bit more aware of your breathing patterns. Is there anything that you notice? Try not to judge the way that you're breathing as good or bad, or right or wrong. And now we're going to start to draw into a more consciously aware breath. In yoga, we traditionally breathe in and out through the nose, so we are going to continue that here. I'd like you to now inhale through your nose and breathe into the hand that is resting on the chest. I'd like you to breathe in so that when you breathe in, the hand on the chest rises. As you exhale, feel the chest soften and feel the hand draw closer towards you. For the next few breaths, inhale just into this chest space. Inhale, 1. And exhale. Inhale, 2. And exhale. 3 into the chest. Feel how it's opening up. And as you exhale, feel the softening. 2 more. Now I'd like you to extend that breath and breathe a little bit further now. I'd like you to breathe past the chest and into the ribs. So as you inhale, the breath will need to be a little longer now. Feel the chest rising and feel your ribs starting to expand and open. As you exhale, feel everything soften and let go. For the next 5 rounds of breath, breathe into the chest and the rib space. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to take that breath even further. We're going to start to pour this into what we call a 3-part yogic breath. We're currently breathing into the belly, into the chest, into the ribs, and now we're going to breathe all the way down into the belly, bringing the breath into 3 parts. So when you're ready to take that more controlled breath in, inhale through the nose. Continue to inhale until you feel your chest rise, your ribs expand, and now your navel space. As you exhale, everything will soften and relax. Inhale, chest, ribs, belly. Exhale. Inhale, chest, ribs, belly. Exhale fully and completely. For the next few moments, I'd like you to sit with this breath, and it might take a little while to grasp, and that's fine. It took me ages to get the breath right. So just taking the time, making sure that the belly is rising, that we're expanding outwards like a balloon would if we blew the balloon up. And as you exhale, everything contracts inwards and softens. So for the next few minutes, we are going to practice that 3-part breath. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Continue at your own pace. Just feeling the full expansion, the belly expands, and everything soften as you exhale. I'm going to leave you for a few moments just to sink in, to connect, and to get familiar with that breath. Keep it going. Really focusing on taking that full breath in, all this lovely space that we have been given to breathe into. But a majority of us only breathe into just the chest space. So let's make use of all this lovely space we've been given and breathe into it. And breathe out. Now as we go through our 21 days and beyond, I will remind you about the breath quite often. As we move into different pranayamas, we'll talk through those. But for now, this is the breath that I want you to try and really connect to. Not just on the mat either. When you're driving, just think about the breath. When you're sitting on the loo maybe. Just those times where you are quite still, when you can't really do anything else. Just think and be aware of the breath. And the more awareness we bring to the breath over time, the more awareness we'll have over it in our practice, in day-to-day life, in our movements as we progress forwards. So if you do have any questions at all regarding the breath, then please feel free to reach out to me. I could talk about the breath all day, every day, so you will not be annoying me, I promise. And we're going to spend the next 10 breaths breathing together. So inhale 1 and exhale. Inhale 2. Exhale. Inhale 3. Exhale 3. Inhale 4. And exhale. Inhale 5. Exhale 6. 7. 8. 9. And 10. Now keep control of that breath, because we're going to start to add some very soft movements for today's practice. So these movements are, well, not designed, but they're useful for getting used to that breath to movement connection. So if you're ready, inhale as we reach the arms up above the head. Feel a nice big lift across the chest into the arms, and exhale as we pull the hands down to the heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up nice and wide, reaching nice and tall. Exhaling back down to heart center. And again. Once more, inhale. And exhale. Now I'm going to link the fingers, push the palms away from the body. Let your chin roll into the chest, around the spine a little, and then inhale as we lift nice and tall. As we exhale, we're going to drop the right hand and we're going to bend to one side, breathing into that nice open space that you can feel in the side of the body. Inhale, reaching nice and tall. As you exhale, taking that bend over into the other side. Inhale, coming up. Exhale into your side bend. Inhale up. Exhale over. And once more on each side at your own pace. So what you might notice is that sometimes we go out of sync with one another, and that is fine, because your breath might go out of sync with my breath, and that's quite normal. We won't be too far behind one another. So we're going to come back to center. If you haven't already got pins and needles, we're going to come onto all fours now. And we're going to add some little movements again to help us get used to connecting the breath to the movement. So you might not need that for a little while. And we're going to take the hands shoulder distance and the knees hip distance. Cat-cow, if you've never done yoga before, you've probably heard of before. And it's a really nice set of postures to help wake up the spine, which is what we're going to do here. So as you inhale, we're going to lift the tailbone up towards the ceiling. We're going to let the belly drop towards the mat. And the chest is going to lift forwards and up as your shoulders drop back. As you exhale, lengthen the tailbone, hug your belly button in towards the spine, bring the chin in towards the chest and press the mat away from you. And now we're going to sync these to your breath. So inhaling as we open up into our cow. Exhaling as we round into our cat. Move nice and steadily with the breath. Don't be tempted to move quickly. Everything we want to, if we can, connect it to the breath. We're going to take 2 more. Inhale to open. Exhale to round. Last one. And back to our tabletop position. I'm going to take you into a pose called Child's Pose now, and the reason I'm bringing this in is because today's practice is about really setting up the foundations so that we can then build on those, and some things that I want to cover which will be beneficial for our future sessions. So when we take out, we're going to take our knees out wide, toes together, and we're going to let the hips sink down towards the heels. Arms are going to walk out in front, and we can let the forehead rest on our mat if we choose to, or you might prefer to rest it on the back of your hands. But this here is quite a universal pose for a resting pose. If ever you're in a practice, mine included, and your body says, I need a minute, you come down, you rest in this pose until you're ready, your body and your mind are ready to go again, and then you come back and you join in. You do not have to be given this pose to come into it. You take this as and when you need to. So we're going to just hold here for 5 breaths, and they're going to be focused on, just like we breathed into the belly, but now I want you to imagine that you're breathing into the back of the ribs. So when you're ready, inhale 1. Exhale. Feel your body melt and let it. Inhale 2. And exhale. In for 3. And out. In for 4. Let it go. And in for 5. Let that breath go. Feel your body melt, feel your shoulders melt, and then we're going to inhale and lift ourselves back onto all 4s. We're going to bring the knees in. As I said, we're going to stay quite floor-based today, and we're just going to take just a couple more stretches today before we close. We're going to inhale, reach your left arm up towards the ceiling, or your right, and exhaling as we thread this arm underneath the opposite. Inhale, open up. Again, these movements are synced in with the breath. Exhale, threading through. Inhale, open. And through. Last one. And then we're going to pop ourselves back to all 4s. Right side when you're ready. Inhale, open up. Don't worry about how far you open. Try not to dip into this left side. Doesn't matter if this arm doesn't go as far. Exhale, threading through. 4 more with the pace and connection to your breath. So you're inhaling to open. Exhaling through. When you're ready to finish on that last one, we'll pop ourselves back into our tabletop position. And then from here, we're going to cross the ankles and walk ourselves back to our seated position. Now those moves are really lovely in the beginning stages if your breath gets lost. And it will get lost, okay, at some point, and that is absolutely fine. Remember, through all of this, it's called yoga practice. It's practice for a reason. It's not yoga nailed it. And really, our practice is not about perfection either. It's about looking inwards and moving our bodies, feeling our bodies and that connection to ourselves and our physical form. So don't stress too much about the aesthetics of things. I want you to go by what feels good for your body. So we're going to come back to the breath. One hand to the belly, one hand to the chest. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale that breath. Really think about lengthening these exhalations now. We're going to take 2 more rounds of breath. Inhale. Can you really lengthen this exhalation? Feel how calming that is for the body, for the mind. And once more. Breathe that breath all the way out. And now you can let go of the control over the breath. You might notice it sinks back into its old rhythm quite quickly. Or it might not. And what I would like you to do until we meet again tomorrow is to just be aware of your breath. Every time you have a moment, maybe, I don't know, every time you switch the kettle on, check in with your breath. How's my breathing? And it might be very shallow again. And then all I want you to do at that point that you notice is to take 5 chest, rib and belly breaths and then crack on with the day. And then you might jump into the car and you might think, oh, I've got a bit of a journey, let me check my breath. But my point is, try and be a bit more aware of the breath, not just when we come to the mat together. So I am going to leave it there for our day 1. I want to ease you in with the right foundations, and I didn't want to be too mean from the get-go, not that I'm going to be mean. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining our breath session. Just be really aware of that breath and you'll start to notice, oh, I wasn't breathing right in the first place, or, oh, I actually breathed quite well, thank you very much. I know that I didn't when I started to practice yoga. I didn't even realise I was breathing inefficiently. But now we know, we can learn, we can do better, and moving forward, we're going to breathe properly. So thank you so much for joining our first session, and I'll see you for day 2 tomorrow.